Welcome, you whore sons, to a 3v3 online battle. Now, this battle is a little bit special, as it's taken from the stream I did the other day, and it's all against players that were in the stream, so it's all people who know who I am and who just want to play and have a laugh. So we don't have to worry about cheese or any ridiculously overpowered stupid builds, so it's a good fun game. And the way I'm going to present this to you is we're going to watch the first half of the battle 3 times, and we're going to watch what each of the kind of paired up armies do, because when you fight a 3v3 you're lined up in front of an enemy army, and you just kind of fight whoever's in front of you. So I'm in the middle here as the Wood Elves. I've gone for the Wood Elves. To my left is good old Zymerix. He's gone for the Chaos. And to my right is none other than bloody Arcor. It's only bloody Arcor. He's playing as the Tomb Kings. And then opposite we've got Mint Steel, aka Captain Doomwheel. He's playing as the Lizardmen. And to his right he's got the one and only Feros playing as the Vampires. He's a maniac. And lastly, to both of their lefts, the mighty Gaunt wields the Dark Elves. So that's the 6 armies and the 6 players. We'll begin with my engagement. First of all, let's take a look at my army. So I've gone for an army which I built called Vamp Blaster. As we're facing the vampires, I thought it might work well. We'll see. I've got 3 units of Treekin. I just want them to hold a line, a nice firm line, that I can use all my missile units to absolutely blast everything the incoming army has. I've got Hagbane tips in there. I've got some Starfire shafts. Got a bit of a mixture. And then I've got 2 units of Asteroid Spear War Dancers. Of course, a great anti-large unit. One of those on each flank to help protect from any flankery. And then 2 units of Wild Riders. No shields. Didn't think we really need them against the vampires or the lizardmen. Maybe the Dark Elves, but we went with the odds. And my General is an Ancient Tree Man, because of course he is pretty good in melee still, and has some healing spells which I can use on my precious Treekin. So that is my army. Very simple. Hold everything back, blast it with missiles. That's pretty much the idea. I thought that'd be good against both the vampires and the lizardmen potentially. So these are kind of our 3 matchups. I'm against the Lizardmen, Tomb Kings against Dark Elves, and Chaos against the Vampires. It's kind of how we're lined up. Let's see how we progress. So Mint Steel's army is 3 units of Skink Cohort on a front line mixed in with 2 units of Croxagors. An interesting combination. And then he's pretty much just brought Jurassic Park with him. He's just got a whole lot of dinosaurs, to be honest. So he's got a Solar Engine Bastillodon there. Another one at the other edge, I think. Yep, 2 of those. And then a Revivification Crystal one, always useful. He's got a Saurus Scar Veteran on a Carnosaur, very useful anti-large. And then Lord Mazdamundi is on a Stegodon. And there's also a Skink Chief flying around on a Pterodon. So his army, very large unit heavy. Little in the way of anti-large though, other than the Carnosaur. So an interesting combination. He's looking to stampede someone, clearly. Now, as this battle begins, we have the ranged advantage. Tomb Kings have got some artillery. There's also a Hell Cannon, so they're going to have to come to us. Gives us a bit of time to do that extra damage. However, Feros has come over with a couple of Direwolf units, although one of them's going somewhere else. He's trying to make a play on that Hell Cannon, relieve some of that disadvantage. Just dodged some Chaos Knights there. He's going to get a hold of it. Can they get through it quick enough before the Chaos Knights get a hold of them, though? Probably not, although they're actually chewing through it really quick. Got it down to half health. But they're not going to stick around long enough, probably. I didn't even notice, otherwise it would have helped. I'm a good teammate. So, Direwolf sacrificed there, but as the Hell Cannon is unbreakable, it's going to be hard to get rid of it while it has that protection. Now, I'm moving my army up to here now, so I can use this little rock pool thing as protection against any flanking. So, my Treekin will become a wall, and then I can just blast away at everything incoming. Mainly the large units we're going to look to get rid of, because they are, of course, my biggest worry. Skink Cohort, not too much of a problem. Dark Elves and Tomb Kings getting into it. Vampires and Chaos still moving up. Me and old Mint Steel getting ready to engage. I'm nearly in position. These Treekin taking their sweet time. They look like they're walking, goddammit. They look much bigger than I remember. I haven't seen Treekin for a while. Missiles going off now. Firing on the Skink Cohort. First thing in range by the looks of it. Going to start to focus on this Bastillodon a little bit. Maybe not the best target. This accuracy is pretty bad. Look at all the arrows around, just completely missing. Probably should have aimed at someone else. I'm going to start to wear everything down a bit. Now the Croxagors, they could be one of the biggest threats to my front line at least, because they have the armor piercing, which is the biggest worry for Treekin. Anti-large is also a problem, but if it's anti-large without armor piercing, it's not really that big of a deal. So yeah, we've got to watch out for that high armor piercing damage of those Croxagors. Got to try and get them down. I'm starting to focus Mazdamundi a little bit, as he's just standing right there in front of us. Here we go. The engagement begins. Trying to get my Asteroid Spears onto those Croxagors. Oh, he's dropped off Ruination of Cities there, which has mostly ruined his own front line. Those Skink Cohort are absolutely destroyed from that. Didn't really do much to my Treekin. Oh, I got my Asteroid Spears quite well though, I think. So it paid off a little bit, because they're an expensive unit to damage that much. So you win some, lose some. Probably not that much of a big deal taking out the Skink Cohort, because they were never really going to do a lot anyway. My other Aspho Spears, trying to get after all these large units. Primarily the Croxagors I want to get rid of because of that armor-piercing damage. Dropping a nice banishment on some of my missiles there. The Feral Carnosaurs come through. So he's looking to harass my back line with his large units, and there's not a great deal I can do about it other than trying to shoot them down. This is why I space my missile units out, so they can kind of cover each other. When one of them's being attacked, the other ones can shoot at that large unit. One mistake I did make though was leaving this little hole. I left this here to make the line wider in the first place, but I forgot to close it up, and those large units were able to just sneak through there and get easily to my back line. It's only going to have delayed them a little bit. If it was closed, they would have just gone around the sides probably, and there's not much I could have stopped them with, but yeah, should have closed that gap. Wild Riders coming in, starting to rout some of my missiles, but we're doing fair amounts of damage to this Carnosaur. It's on the move, my Tree Man's going after it, although probably not going to catch it. But yeah, this is a valuable tip for missiles if you're expecting to be bounced around on by some large units. Splitting them up as much as possible, well, not as much as possible, but a good amount is a good idea, because it means that they can't just bounce from each unit one after the other instantly. They should always be taking fire when they're fighting one unit. So we're trying to gun things down as quick as we can. We've broken these Croxagors on the front. The vampires are coming in now. Some zombies and some skeleton warriors I think are coming up. Treekin here. Oh, these are Graveguard. Oh, it just dropped a nice spell there. Blown my Treekin all over the place. But they're still in the way though. They've been blown into the way of all these units. So they haven't been able to get past. These Treekin are holding like an absolute well-made wall. Yep, so we're holding back most of the forces. It's just these large units causing problems. We've got to try and get rid of them. Once they're gone, it should be fine. Try to tie up Mazdamundi here, get my Asteroid Spears on him. Got the Wild Riders just holding them in place so we can start to blast them down with missiles and get the spears all over him. That son of a bitch Gaunt has brought his cavalry into the back of some of my missiles. He's routing them, done a fair bit of damage. They're going to get routed by my Tree Man though. Still holding strong on the Treekin line. And that's pretty much my engagement with the Lizardmen and the Vampires so far. Just holding them all back with the Treekin. They're holding superbly. And then I'm just trying to get my missile units and my spears to get rid of these large units. So we'll see how that turns out. But for now, let's take a look at the Chaos and the Vampires. So let us reset back to the start of the battle. And let's have a look at the Chaos army. It's quite a small army, to say the least. Cymeric's going for the quality over quantity front line. He's got 2 units of Great Weapon Chaos Warriors and 2 units of Chosen Halberds, so a very powerful front line. 2 units of Chaos Knights with Lances to defend his flanks, and then 1 unit of Aspiring Champions to mix in with that front line, maybe for the magical damage, not really sure what their purpose is. And good old Sigvold is the Lord. I imagine he's got regeneration to make him super tough. And that's pretty much his army. Oh, and of course the Hell Cannon, capable of wearing down their enemy from afar. So like I said, a very small but very powerful army. Then the Vampires got those 2 units of direwolves hidden in the trees at first, and then a very heavy infantry army. So front line of Graveguard primarily, non-armor piercing ones. A couple of zombies out front as well, maybe to absorb some charges. Skeleton spearmen on the edges of course, and then at the back 2 units of Graveguard with great weapons and some more spearmen as well. So heavy on the infantry for Feros. His lord is old Manfred on a horse. Got that magical damage and he can do some melee stuff as well. And then we've got a Terrorgeist at the back here. He's a little bit shy. He's hiding behind that flag. So yeah, an interesting choice of army because it's very infantry heavy. Not really any monsters, which is of course the strength of the Vampires. So maybe trying to catch somebody out with this build here. Coming in with these direwolves. We of course know how this turns out. Not sure what he's going to do with the other ones. So he's going to pull them back. Save them for a rainy day. So a fair attempt by Feros to get rid of that Hell Cannon, but maybe it would have been better off waiting until the later game when that Hell Cannon is less protected, because artillery always gets less protected as the battle wears on, mostly in online. Cymeric's starting to move up. Oh, he's got a Sorcerer here. I missed this. Oh, Sorcerer of Shadows. Always dangerous. His Chaos Knights admiring the scenery there by the looks of it. Not really sure what they're doing. The Vampires do approach. Zombies out in front. Not sure how the zombies are getting so far in front. I guess everyone's walking, apart from the zombies maybe. Zombies notoriously slow, not great to group into your army because they will slow everyone down. So we're starting to approach now. The Lizardmen are coming up with them. The Vampires are there. Let's see how he deploys. Hell Cannon just missed there, so he's surviving that well enough. Terrorgeist keeping defensive for now. Direwolves going around the back. Where are they off to? We shall see. So these zombies out in front, not really sure what their purpose is. Maybe he's going to try and tie something up. He could get my Wild Riders just there. They're right next to him. The Chaos now moving up. those Chaos Great Weapons going after those Spearmen. They don't want anything to do with it. He's wisely pulling the Spearmen away from the Great Weapons. But let's take a look at Varys' most curious decision here, as most of his army is charging towards me for some reason. Even though there's a whole big clump of Chaos here, it's like he's ignoring the Chaos. It's just like, nah, I want to kill Elves today. Go away, Chaos. I need to kill some Elves. So it's always a dangerous decision to kind of ignore the army that you're matched up against. Although it is a tough army, it's one that he has to deal with. Wisely getting his Graveguard with great weapons into these Chaos with great weapons. He didn't just send his Skeleton Spearmen to a slaughter, he pulled them back and got the right unit on the right matchup. Still a tough matchup for those Graveguard, but it's a good matchup. Same thing on this side, great weapons on great weapons. In the middle, it's the regular Graveguard against the Chosen with Halberds, which is a difficult matchup. I mean, for any infantry to fight Chosen Halberds, it's a difficult matchup. Even with armor piercing, they're still going to do some damage. But one trick I think Varys has missed here is the opportunity for flanking. He's got the numbers advantage against the Chaos. Their army's powerful, but it's very small. He's got a lot of numbers. He could have come around the sides here, get behind these Chaos Warriors, get behind these Chosen, get them attacking on both sides. You'll wear them down a lot quicker. Terrorgeist here could be going after the Sorcerer. The sooner you can get rid of Sorcerers on any army, the better. Make it so that they can't use their magic very much, and it'll make life a lot easier. See, a lot of his units coming over to me. For some reason, these Spearmen not really going to do a lot to Treekin. Normal Graveguard not going to do anything to Treekin, really. A dangerous game to clump up all these expensive units here as well, with a Shadow Priest around. If he drops Pit of Shades on that little group of Graveguard, they're going bye-byes. Dropping a Spirit Leech on Prince Sigvald, definitely a wise move with that regeneration. You want to do as much damage to him as you can. But see, these Graveguard are just absolutely outmatched, because in a one-on-one with a lot of these Chaos units, they just have no chance. They needed to use those numbers, because Vampire Infantry is good, but not great. Not great like the Chaos Infantry, let's say. See, these zombies over here really doing nothing. These Skeleton Spearmen, anti-large, don't really do a great deal to Treekin, unless they have the armor piercing, I find. But yeah, a dangerous game in 2v2s and 3v3s and 4v4s. To not just fight the army that's in front of you, to ignore an army will essentially leave you open to flanking or to dividing your force like this. So a dangerous game to play that indeed. Getting a bit of flank. He's coming after this Hell Cannon again. Oh, no, they're just going to look at it. Maybe trying to get after my missiles. We'll see. Varys dropping a Fate of Yuna on these Chaos Warriors with great weapons. Always good to run them down with a bit of magic, especially Fate of Yuna, very powerful. Chosen Halberds, of course, could have been a good target for that spell too. He's chosen to take out these ones, which he has done. Kind of at the expense of a lot of his Graveguard though. They've taken a fair pounding, 82 kills for those Chaos Warriors. And these two units of Chosen Halberds are still in really damn good condition, which is always a problem to face. So the Chaos Army getting it the easiest, only having to fight half an army. And me having to fight 1.5 armies, but luckily my Treekin had me covered. Now for the last engagement. Tomb Kings, Arcor. Well, what has he got? Another small but powerful army by the looks of it. His front line is just Skeleton Warriors, 3 units of those, mixed in with some Ushabti with Great Bows, although I don't think they're actually going to be mixed in. Obviously, Ushabti with Great Bows are not a front line unit. Tomb Guard Halberds at the back. Necro Sphinx, the fancy one, whatever the hell it's called. Flip. Yep, that one. And then Cetra the Imperishable on a War Sphinx. So a couple of powerful large units. Then those 2 Screaming Skull Catapults. Got that artillery power. And they're protected by 2 units of Skeleton Spearmen. So a ranged army for the most part, with the 2 catapults and the 2 great bows. Also some carrion over in the trees here. So Arcor not going for the infantry killing power. He's going to rely on his ranged units and his large units by the looks of it. Now for Gaunt's Dark Elf army, he's got a front line of Dread Spears. Could be a good holding front line depending on who they face. They're backed by 4 units of Witch Elves. So an interesting combo. Maybe he's going to blend those two together. Maybe he's going to try and flank with the Witch Elves. Hidden in the woods on the flank, some Harganeth Executioners. Very powerful elite infantry, of course. Same thing on the other flank. Although we have to ask the question, Gaunt, why are your most powerful units protecting your flanks? In most cases, you probably see Executioners maybe in the middle of the front line. And then you have the Spearmen out on the flanks. Because obviously they're better at protecting against faster flanking units. But perhaps Gaunt has a plan in mind. Maybe he wants to flank with those Harganeth Executioners. 2 units of Dark Riders with shields in the trees as well. And then 3 units of Dark Shards without shields at the back. So he's got that armor-piercing ranged power. Although, facing 2 strong ranged factions like the Tomb Kings and the Wood Elves, Dark Shards with shields may be more useful against these 2 armies. But perhaps he's got a plan in mind. Perhaps he wanted to save money. Who knows? His army moving up though. So he's got some infantry killing power. He's also got Malekith on foot. Moving up. He does have quite a small army to deal with, so it should be quite easily flankable with all those speedy Witch Elves. So that's their 2 armies. They're going to move up on each other now. Let's see how these 2 throw down. Dark Elf's got to try and get past that artillery. Necrosphinx running to the woods. Not sure why. Maybe he's looking for pine cones. Maybe he's just seeing if there's any enemies in there probably. Making sure he's not getting flanked by any secret attacks. A wise move. Arcor trying to stay aware of what's going on. The Witch Elves moving up. Getting quite hammered though by those great bows. Doing a lot of damage because they don't have any armor. The old Witch Elves. He's using his artillery on the Harganeth Executioners as well. So choosing his targets wisely is Arcor. Trying to get rid of those most dangerous units first. That is the way to do it. Spell coming in here. Going to be a sandstorm. Yep. Going to land on these Witch Elves a little bit. Spearmen are going to run into it. Oh no, I think it's gone the other way. Ooh. Lucky for Gaunt there. He's dodged that spell for the most part. Oh, it might be coming back on him. In comes the old Kemrian War Sphinx. These Harganeths are getting hammered now. These Dark Elves are taking an absolute pounding from these ranged units. Very difficult to get past. In come the Skeleton Spearmen to slow things down. Kemrian War Sphinx causing some trouble, just disrupting that front line. War Dancers are coming in now though. They're not War Dancers, they look like War Dancers, they're Witch Elves. Some of these have been routed off. Spearmen fighting that thing, although it's probably kind of hopeless for those Dread Spears because that thing is super tough. Missiles need to take that bastard down. The Carrion back here, playing with the missile units as well. So a rough initial engagement for the Dark Elves. That ranged power is very difficult to deal with. Maybe could have used the trees, but more opportunities being missed here. A ton of undefended areas. You could come around this flank. You could even sneak through this little gap here. You could have got your Witch Elves straight through there. Maybe the Harganeth Executioners could have come around. Don't need this much stuff just fighting Skeleton Warriors. Harganeth Executioners could get into these great bows. They'd chew through them. The Witch Elves, they could come up, get after the artillery because they're so fast, the Witch Elves. They've got 46 speed or whatever it is. They're really designed as a flanking unit. They're great because they can cover ground so quickly and just start disrupting things, and they would have chewed through those catapults. Still a tough engagement for the Dark Elves though with these two large units, very difficult to take down. Missiles are going to be the best thing to take down a Necrosphinx and a War Sphinx really, because they're just going to bounce around so much that any kind of anti-large unit you get on them is just not really going to do a lot because they'll probably just run away. Bit of magic coming in on these Witch Elves, these Executioners. War Sphinx just tearing it up. So the ranged power of the Tomb Kings here really coming into play. They're really what Gaunt needed to deal with, but it's difficult. He could have tried moving through the trees maybe to get after them to avoid some of that missile fire, but even that's a difficult strategy to try and employ. He is launching a bit of a surprise attack though with his cavalry. They're coming in, getting after those great bows, although halberds are right next to it, so there's little you can do. It's a tough one. It's a tough one for old Gaunty. But he's getting through the infantry, and when all the infantry is dead, these great bows are going to be in trouble, because there's still quite a lot of Dark Elf infantry in pretty good condition. This is the unit I think that's coming after my damn missiles. Oh, they just got that as well. They just got Murderous Prowess, which is going to increase their charge bonus, which is going to make them murder my missiles even quicker. So some undefended catapults now. See, this is where this cavalry needs to be going. They waited for the opportunity to strike, and they finally get the opportunity, but then he decides to attack my missiles. Not like the Carnosaur really needs any help with that. Or maybe he just wanted a piece of me. Maybe he just wanted to try and kill off one of my units, the bastard. The Dark Elves, they've now got the opportunity to charge forth on all these ranged units, but they're just looking at him, getting hammered by the Screaming Skull. So what old Gaunt is doing with his micro, I have no idea. But he's got 3 units here that could be charging forward. Actually, there's like, no, it's just about 3 units that could be charging forward. Getting these catapults, getting these spearmen, getting these great bows, but they're still just sitting there. I don't know what he's doing. He's got full unit of Executioners here, foolishly trying to fight that. They, again, just get after the great bows, man. Leave the large units to your missiles. Get rid of this infantry, because Ushabti with great bows can still be pretty good melee infantry as well. So the sooner you kill them off, the easier a time you're going to have. Some of these cavalry just about survived. And again, completely undefended artillery now. But Gaunt's just letting it run amok on his army. Don't know what he's microing. These units still haven't moved. They're getting attacked by halberds now. It's all a mess. But there's a lot of Dark Elf units still around and still in pretty good condition. He could still get on this and take it over and beat the remaining units, because these ranged units aren't going to do a lot in melee. The Ushabti can do some damage, but the melee defense will mean they'll probably get destroyed by Executioners. There is 1 unit of spears protecting those catapults actually, so maybe not completely free. But now let's carry on with the rest of the battle and resume and see how this one turns out. On my front, finally getting rid of one of these large units at least. Some of my missiles are running for the hills though. That Carnosaur still causing problems. He keeps healing it up. Very difficult to get rid of. My Treekin still holding that front line like absolute champs. They're not going anywhere. Still holding that line, holding back all the vampires. The Chaos have come over to help me out now. There's not a lot of vampire infantry left here. It's starting to waver. It's starting to crumble. So at this point, with the Chaos being in such good condition, it's going to be difficult for these boys to pull it back from the grasp of my team's victory. But there's still a lot of powerful units around. Some of these large units still going. Croxagor's here. Mazda Mundi's still going. He's being chased off by my tree man. That's a ridiculous chase if ever I've seen one. The Tomb Kings pretty much defeated the Dark Elves. A few units hanging about. Still got a little bit left. But for the most part, Gaunt just seemed to have stopped microing his entire army. To be honest, I don't know what he's doing. What it would be cool to see actually is all the guys that were involved in this battle. I thank you for playing, first of all. Hopefully you're cool with me using this replay and talking about your performance in the battle. I didn't really tell anyone I was going to do this, but hopefully they're cool with it and they can understand and see it as a learning process for all of us. But it'd be cool if they could chime in as to why they did things. Why did Pharos split his army up? Why did Zymerix bring such a small Chaos army? Why did Gaunt not use the trees or micro his army in the second half of the battle? What was he doing? Maybe a frog stole his shoes. Who knows? They do. So it'd be cool if I could hear from those guys. Chime in the comments. Let us know what the hell was going on. Let us know about your builds. Everyone in the battle. What was your build? What was your plan when you saw a certain faction? What was your ideas? I'm curious. I'd like to know. And hopefully, like I say, you're all cool with me using this and talking about how we played. I made mistakes just like everyone else did. So it's all good. We're all learning. We're all messing up occasionally. I'm getting destroyed by this damn Carnosaur. So it's all in good fun. If you'd like to get involved in one of these battles and maybe be in one of these videos, then do check out my stream. I stream usually around the weekends, Friday, Saturday. Come get involved in a battle. We can do 2v2s, 3v3s, free-for-alls, maybe even a 4v4. I've literally never done a 4v4 in Total War, so it'll be a first for the channel. Another cool idea I actually had would be to do maybe a 3v3 or 4v4, but do it as all the same factions. So one side, everyone plays as the Empire or something, and then the other side, everyone plays as Bretonia. And then you have like almost like a one battle, but with 4 different people controlling. So it'd be like a massive battle sort of thing. I thought that would be quite a cool idea. Maybe we'll do that on the stream. So do check it out. Do come along if you want to get involved. I do like to play alongside my peoples. Doesn't matter how good you are. If you're not very good, you feel you're not very good, don't worry about it. Just come down, have some fun. It's not serious games. No one's going to shout at you or try to make you cry if you play terribly. The worst thing that'll happen is you might end up in a replay with me telling you everything you did wrong. But other than that, it's all good. But yeah, hopefully I'm not trying to put anyone down. Obviously, I'm just trying to give advice on things people can do better, and so we can all learn from it. We can all learn not to divide our armies in big battles and things like that. In fairness to Pharos, he did probably have the hardest matchup of any of us, because that Chaos army was super tough, and he didn't have a great deal of armor piercing, which is just bad luck. There's no kind of real thing involved, because you never know who you're going to face. So like, I built my army to deal with the vampires, really, but there was no saying I was going to get matched up with the vampires. But luckily I got matched up with the lizardmen, who were kind of an okay matchup for me as well. If I got matched up with the Dark Elves, see, that would have been a problem for me, because he could have used his spears to just hold my Treekin in place, and then those Witch Elves could have come around the sides and absolutely ruined my missile units. So there is that degree of luck of who you get matched up with and whether your army is really going to be any good for taking out that enemy army. And that tough little Chaos army was going to be a struggle for anyone really, but like I said, the numbers would have been the biggest advantage that the vampires had. They could have flanked round, surrounded those 4 main infantry units, get the Terrorgeist involved, get more magic involved on them, and they probably could have defeated that Chaos army. But there you go, you live, you learn. Hopefully everyone enjoyed this that was in the battle. Hopefully they enjoyed playing it. Hopefully they enjoyed watching it. Hopefully they enjoyed learning from their mistakes and my mistakes. Like I said, I left a huge gap in the Treekin. I probably should have brought more anti-large. Facing the Lizardmen and the Vampires, 2 monster-heavy factions, I really needed more Spearmen to try and stop those ones charging around my missile units so much. Or maybe swapping out my War Dancers for Eternal Guard instead, and then I can bring more of them, which would have been more useful for taking down those large units. For the Dark Elves, flanking I think was really essential. You could have just used the Dread Spears to hold all that crappy infantry in place, and then brought the Witch Elves around the sides as much as possible. They were getting hammered by missiles and stuff, so it was difficult. You've of course got the Madness of Cain ability on the Witch Elves as well, so you could make those large units lose control, try and get your anti-large units on them, the missiles on them, just get rid of them as quick as you can. Terrorgeist still hanging around here, but like I said, too much chaos left, too many Wood Elves alive. We finally got rid of that damn Carnosaur. I think I tried to chase it off with my Wild Riders just now. For the Lizardmen game, Mint Steel, I didn't really talk about him too much. His game, he could have maybe used his Skink cohort to flank round with, rather than engaging the Treekin, because they were never going to do anything to the Treekin. Waste of time. The Croxagor, by themselves, maybe with a melee attack buff, could have got through my Treekin. But because of the missiles, again, their missiles making it a problem. Maybe sending his large units in first would have been a better idea, and then the Croxagors in later, perhaps, but then you risk dividing your army and stuff, so it's a difficult one. A Pyrrhic victory for my side, though. Good game to all involved. Well played. Let's have a look at some kills and stuff. How did my army... Whoa, my Treekin actually getting a fair amount of kills. Probably because they were fighting for so long. Treekin normally don't really get kills that much. My Wild Riders, one of them did well, one of them did not a lot. Could have managed them a bit better. My missile units, they were mostly shooting at large, so they were never going to get a ton of kills, but I think they did alright in damage. Same with the War Dancers, they were chasing down those large units most of the time. But they did okay, they survived alright. Lizardmen, Carnosaur and Mazda Mundi doing really well. Plenty of kills on those boys. Kroxagor's not doing too much, although they were fighting Treekin most of the time. Some of these large units not really paying for themselves too much there either. Zymerix with his tiny Chaos Army, he obviously got a ton of kills with most of his infantry, as they're all very, very powerful. The cavalry as well, doing really well. So those expensive units really paying for themselves with these hundreds of kills. Just chopping through those poor squishy vampires. And for the vampires, it was a difficult game, of course. Graveguard can't really do much against Chosen Halberds, and the Chaos Warriors were great weapons. Some of the great weapon ones a little bit better for the vampires, but a tough game overall. Like I said, mostly unfortunate for him that he had to deal with that super tough Chaos Infantry with his not so tough Vampire Infantry. Arcor and Gaunt, not so much in the melee kills. Cetra, of course, got lots on his War Sphinx. Damn, these great bows are absolutely brutal. You got to try and get rid of them as soon as possible. Same with the catapults, they did well. Tomb King's ranged power really coming into play there. And it's no secret that at the moment the Tomb Kings are one of the more powerful factions in the online world. One of these Witch Elves doing really well, and one of these Dread Spears actually. Don't see Dread Spears doing that well very often. Some of the Witch Elves doing literally nothing though. They got thoroughly destroyed by those missiles. One of the Executioners did well. Missiles didn't do a lot. Maybe they were shooting large. Not sure. But there we go. A 3v3 battle. I hope you all enjoyed this. Those who have watched this and those who played this. Hopefully, like I say, you don't mind me talking about you in this battle. And we can have many more battles to come on the streams and such. So there we go. I thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll see you in the future.